December 16th, 1944, before dawn, in the snow-covered forests of Belgium, thousands of German cannons opened fire simultaneously. More than 200,000 German soldiers suddenly advanced against American positions that believed they were in a quiet sector of the front. Within hours, tanks began to cross the Ardennes, breaking lines and creating chaos among the Allied troops. Within a few months, American, British, and Canadian troops liberated much of Western Europe. Meanwhile, in the east, the Red Army was rapidly advancing against German forces. The war was approaching Germany's own borders. Furthermore, the country was beginning to suffer from a lack of resources and manpower. The Minister of Armaments, Albert Speer, reached a worrying conclusion. Germany possessed resources for perhaps only one more year of war. But even in the face of this reality, Hitler did not accept defeat. He believed he could still turn the tide with a major offensive. The plan was extremely ambitious. Hitler decided to attack through the Ardennes region, a mountainous area covered by dense forests. In 1940, the Germans had already surprised their enemies by advancing through their... Now, Hitler wanted to repeat the strategy. The ultimate goal was to capture the port of Antwerp. If this happened, the Allied armies could be divided in two. But many German generals were skeptical. Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt believed the plan was extremely risky. Even so, Hitler insisted. During November and early December 1944, the Germans prepared the offensive in absolute secrecy. Stoves and campfires were forbidden. Even German reconnaissance planes flew at night to mask the noise of ground vehicles. In total, about 200,000 German soldiers were gathered for the attack. Among them were several armored divisions with hundreds of tanks. The objective was to advance rapidly through the Ardennes, cross the Meuse River, and continue to Antwerp. In the early morning of December 16th, the attack began. More than 1,000 German artillery pieces opened fire. Soon after, the infantry advanced through the forests. Panzer tanks began to traverse narrow, snow-covered roads. For many American soldiers, the attack was a complete shock. The region was considered relatively peaceful. At several points along the front line, the Germans managed to break through the defenses. The offensive seemed to be working. The German advance created a huge bulge in the Allied lines. Therefore, the battle became known as the Battle of the Bulge. But despite initial advances, the Germans faced great difficulties. The roads in the Ardennes were few and narrow. Furthermore, many units had enough fuel for only a few kilometers. The plan depended on capturing Allied fuel depots. One of the most strategic points was the town of Bec. Controlling Bastogne meant controlling troop movements in the region. German forces quickly surrounded the city. About 15,000 American soldiers were trapped inside, including the 101st Airborne. The response from American commander Anthony McAuliffe to the German demand for surrender became famous. He replied with just one word: nuts. Meanwhile, General George S. Patton began to move his army rapidly to aid the defenders. The Battle of the Bulge officially ended in January 1945. It was the last major German offensive on the Western Front. The losses were enormous. Germany lost a large part of its last reserves of tanks and equipment, resources that could no longer be replaced. After this battle, the Allies regained the strategic initiative. A few months later, they would advance directly into the heart of Germany. The Ardennes offensive only accelerated the collapse of Nazi Germany. Even large offensives could no longer change the outcome of the war.